Unfortunately, every month it seems like some company that we thought, wow, this place was all about Hawaii, is now going away, and that's really hard.
Whether they're a small corner shop that sells 1-ton soup to, let's say, Aloha Airlines or Liberty House, everyone made our community our community.
The Ritz is no longer around. We don't have McInerney in Hawaii anymore. We don't have KC Drive-In or Wisteria.
Arakawa's, Honolulu Bookstore, Honolulu Sporting Goods, Gems.
Flamingo, there you go. They say it's progress, but I don't know if that's progress.
There's really just a handful of companies that have survived 100 years.
It's really important that we take a moment to stop and assess what's important and really try to hang on to those ones that we want to make sure don't go away.
Historic Hawaii Foundation is proud to honor Stephen Ai and Carol Ai May as the 2014 āina of the Year. They continue a business legacy that has spanned 3 generations and served Hawaii's community for 115 years.
My grandfather tried so many businesses that failed. Pineapple, tobacco, canning, a tailor shop, and he failed at so many of them, and he kept trying and trying and trying. My grandfather, CKIE, started City Mill as the rice mill of the city. So it was a rice mill as well as a lumber mill.
In 1899, the first store opened up, and Chung Kang Ai had gone to some of his friends and gotten money to open the store. And then the Great Chinatown Fire of 1900 came out in January, and it burned City Mill to the ground. And he didn't have any insurance. He had to go back to his friends who had supported him and ask for more money.
So that, to me, is a lesson in character, the willingness to start over, the willingness to change, and the willingness to just keep going and never give up.
When the Big Five made it hard for them to bring in their own lumber and goods, they built their own ship to bring in 2 million board feet of lumber. And then when the Great Depression happened in 1929, they were in a position where they owed about the equivalent in today's dollars of $18 million. And the bank said to Mr. Ai, you're pretty old now, why don't you just close the store, walk away from this?
It was already like 60 plus. You have to realize back then, the life expectancy was 49.
Imagine being so old and owing so much money.
What would you do? Would you declare bankruptcy, or you say, don't worry, I'm going to pay it back?
Throughout the Depression, they built up their revenues, and by 1940, he was totally out of debt. So the lesson for the children in today's generation, Stephen and Carol, is perseverance.
You know, my grandfather lived to 96. He kept on coming in the office. I mean, he had turned the day-to-day operations to my father, but he still came in. When he passed away, we're still very heavily into the wholesale business. In the mid-50s, my father thought, maybe we should start a retail store. And he was laughed at.
My earliest memories of City Mill is sitting in the reception room waiting for my dad.
We came in the store late at night, and my father would come to pick things up. He'd grab a pack of batteries, and he says, write that down.
When we wanted to buy something, say it was candy or some little gadget, he'd always make it clear that it was not free. I believe I'm here almost accidentally because my father was a very traditional Chinese guy with a lot of pressure being placed on the male son.
He made Stephen build pallets, City Mill pallets. So he sent them out to Waipahu's store, and I was in charge. Okay, this nail goes here.
I think my dad was grooming him from a very young age.
As a youngster, it was sort of like a prearranged marriage. You're growing up, your father's saying you're going to be in the business, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. I sort of believed that until my senior year in college, and then I said, wait a minute, why am I doing this? My senior year, I told my dad, I said, I'm not coming back, and he thought the world was ending.
My father was thinking maybe no one was interested in carrying this business on. And after having my own business, I realized what a gem this place really was. And I said, I'd like to come over and work there. And he said to me, okay, I'll give you a project. I need a store in Hawaii Kai and I need a store in Mililani. Go get it. So that was my first project at City Mill.
It's my father who's really challenged us, my sister and I. As my sister and I were growing up, says, you're the generation that's going to blow it. You know, short sleeves to short sleeves in 3 generations, you're it. And so it's almost a dare, just like, okay, you're supposed to have the business fall apart on you. And so part of it was just, that's one of the things that's really driven us. We're not going to let that happen on our watch.
One of the things I think Carol and Stephen have done really well is they have looked into the future and saw that big box stores were going to come to Hawaii. This is maybe 20 years ago. And they said, what could we do about it? Because we're not going to be able to stop it.
One of the things that they kept stressing is that we're employing about 500 people and we need to make City Mill successful for these 500 people. They never thought about themselves. They never thought about really the company. They really thought mostly about who they were, the community, really.
They have this incredible responsibility of carrying on this family tradition in a challenging business climate, and yet they both give more than 50% or more of their time to the nonprofit community all the time. They still hold on to how supportive the community has been for them through the years, and they're always motivated by that too.
One of the values that my grandfather and my father handed down to us, it's not about us, it's about others who help us.
When the AUW leaders went back in the books and looked, we found, wow, Stephen's grandfather was writing checks to United Way back more than 60, 70 years ago and supporting.
He had a vision how he can help the community. He had a vision what he can do to give back to a country that took him. He's an immigrant from China. He started the business, obviously there is a profit motive in terms of for-profit business, but also to help people in the community. If it should ever fold or anything, last but not least, my grandfather would be one that we've all disappointed.
Our business, like anything else, is still very perishable.
It's going to be up to Carol. You know, Carol has 2 sons, and we hope one of her 2 sons will come back to City Mill and take over the business.
So when they were growing up, I mean, they're like 8, 10, 12. Oh yeah, Uncle, we know that water thing.
There's definitely one slogan that sticks in my mind.
A big motto that always comes to mind that my Uncle Steve always tells me.
When you drink water, remember its source.
When you drink water, remember the source.
When you drink water, remember the source. And what that means is just remember when you have some goodness or something good happens to you, where did it come from?
For me, that means not only my family, but it also means everyone involved in City Mill. So it means the employees, it means the customers, and it means the communities that really support City Mill. And so I'm really grateful and fortunate to have all of it.
It really is like a family, and I want to preserve that as much as possible because that's something that I believe that Hawaii has an advantage on over the mainland companies, for example. That sense of community and treating the customer right and doing whatever is needed to make the community feel great and be happy.
I value their story. I find it fascinating. I think it is one of the things that makes Hawaii unique.
They continue to perpetuate what everybody loves about Hawaii, but what everybody is afraid may someday go away if we don't keep paying attention to it. And that's that feeling of ohana, no matter how big we get, that feeling of obligation, of moral responsibility, of social responsibility, and just being good stewards of this community.
Well, I hope for City Mill anyway, that it stays for another 100 years around here, because it's nice to have something like this here instead of a big box.
We need more companies like that, yeah. Family-owned businesses run, and the ones that care about the local community, yeah.
With service and a smile, We do it City Mill style. From Mililani to Pro City, Honolulu to Hawaii Kai. With service and a smile, we do it City Mill style. From Kaneohe to Waipahu, Kaimaki to āina. And don't forget Ever Beach. Customer in the store buying merchandise, lumber, garden hardware and paint supplies.